Introducing the new Volvo XC90. With 7-seat versatility, Google built-in, and advanced safety features for all your precious cargo. The new Volvo XC90, designed for life. Visit volvocars.com/US to learn more.
Welcome back, folks. We got the subject today I have been anticipating for pretty much the whole time we started this show. But before we get into that, what's up, Walt?
What's up with you, man? Brian, how you doing?
Man, I'm good, man. I'm good, bro. Yes,
Good.
sir. What's good with you? What's good? Any financial fitness challenge updates?
No, it's been the same thing. Just
Yeah.
trucking along.
We're following a plan. It was
I heard-
still steady along the plan.
As far as the fitness, part of it, like I hurt my back or
Physical fitness. Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I had to take a little bit of time off. But I still pretty good.
Good.
And didn't do too much spending or anything like that. So still doing good because I know that's some of the things we fall into, the pitfalls we fall into, right? When something happens, and then whether it's mental or emotional, we find ourselves going down that path again and just picking up all those habits that we are trying to change, right?
It's so easy to be bad. It's hard to be good.
What about you, man?
Well, I guess the things that came to mind is like what I found is routine has definitely helped. I thought I was like already a routine person, but no, like having like set routine is really helpful. Same thing with the gym. When I can't make it, I try to push to just do my little calisthenic workout at home, and I'm trying to do that every day so that when I don't make it to the gym, I still have that consistency. There was something else, but I forgot. But yeah, that's it, man. Just steady, living the plan and trying to execute and be consistent. That's it.
Well, okay. That's it, man. All right. So what do you got for Around the Pay Horn?
Well, not too much around the pay horn. What I realize is around the pay horn takes a lot of work or a little bit more time. So I don't always I haven't gotten to do it the way I want to do it. But I do got an interesting article. It's on Business Wire. The link will be in the show notes. It says Flutterwave named to Time 100 most influential companies, listed for the second time, highlighting global payments influence. And if you haven't heard of the company, here's why. Africa's leading payments technology company returns to this global list after its 2021 debut. And a little blurb about the company has remained committed to connecting Africa through seamless payments. It empowers individuals and businesses to thrive in the digital economy. Today, its solutions power growth across diverse sectors. These include cross-border remittance, e-commerce, travel, payroll, and hospitality. And I threw it in, and I love finding these little gems, finding these little gems, because we get so caught up in the U.S. and our little micro circles and our bubbles of our life, right? And we don't realize that there are companies out there that we've never heard of that are doing millions and billions in business in the world that we live in. Payroll. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, just to expose us folks to different things around the globe. What you got?
So I have two things. The first thing is about the LPGA.
Oh, I know what you're going to say. Yep, go ahead.
They partnered with UKG.
Yep.
So they became their official HR, payroll, and workforce management technology partner. So
advertising.
Yeah. They hope to make sure that enhances efficiency and improve the employee experience.
It's not going to help either one thing. It's just marketing.
Look, the other thing that I have is for something about Daily Pay. So Daily Pay announced a $200 million asset-backed securitization, ABS.
What does that mean?
I don't know, of its all on-demand receivables. So this is seen as a new asset class and aims to help employers offer employees more flexibility in how they access their earned wages.
Interesting.
So, notes, yeah, man.
Nice, man. That's what's up. So, as we prepare, ever since we started this show, we were talking about like industry specific payroll and blah, blah, blah. That was
Yeah.
like one of the recurring things that we talked about. And today we have Michael Ritzema. I always get the names. We get these names. It looks like Ritzema, right?
Yep.
Ritzema.
Similar. Yep.
Sim. Anywho,
Yep.
he's coming to us from the trucking business, and he is the president and founder of Superior Trucking Payroll Service. With over 20 years of entrepreneurship, finance, software, and operations, Michael built his service after serving as CFO for a trucking company with an 80 truck fleet and brokerage, giving him a unique on the ground perspective into carrier payroll needs. He's passionate about helping trucking families streamline payroll, compliance, and per diem optimization, and regularly shares expertise on topics like wage garnishment, IRS Form 945, and the 1099 versus W 2 nuances. Off duty, Michael and his wife Karen enjoy family time with their 2 daughters and 4 cats. Ooh, cat folks. And when he's not crunching numbers, he's tracking down MLB ballparks, Dodger Stadium being a longtime favorite. Michael, thanks for hitting the road with us today, and welcome to the show.
To the show, Michael.
Welcome, Michael. Is it Ritzema? Ritzema.
Ritzema.
I've been so excited about this episode. Welcome, right, Michael Ritzema. Trucking payroll is the episode today. We've been talking about specialty payroll since we started this show, and we have not found anyone until now. And I'm just so excited to talk about it, to have you on the show. Oh man, welcome. And man, let's get right into it. How did you get into trucking payroll? Forget about payroll, trucking payroll.
Yeah, I didn't have the normal path of the independent bureaus. That I learned later that a lot of the bureaus were former employees of the big red one and the big blue one and went off on their own, right? And so, but that wasn't my journey. My journey was I was working for a trucking company, and we used one of the big national payroll providers. And we had a problem because we would have trucks go about 150 miles, but we wanted to pay them a special rate for, so we would just pay them a flat rate. So we're going to pay them $100 or $150, depending on the situation. But I wanted the miles recorded because we paid by the mile, and I needed to do it for some cost things. So I had, for example, I would have something like 150 miles at $0 per mile plus $125 or something like that. But what would happen is that the big national payroll provider, and I'm not trying to pick on them, it was just what it was. I don't hate on anybody. But because it was zero, they thought it was a mistake and put their default rate in. So now I'm paying them 150 miles at their default rate plus $125 each time. And that's just not okay. I mean, it wasn't life-changing money, but we had 5 drivers doing this kind of work, and they were doing it 4 days, 4 trips a week. And so, yeah, it starts to add up. And so I went to the owner and said to him, hey, look, I can write you something better than what we've got now through this big national company. And he's like, I understand how it works. He knew that I could write this stuff because I had written what's called IFTA software for him. If you don't know, I'll try and keep this brief, but like for a car, you pay all your taxes for fuel when you buy the fuel, right? So if you bought the fuel in Minnesota and you burned it and you drove through Wisconsin gets the roads used up. It doesn't really get any money, and Minnesota got the money because you bought the fuel there, right? Well, with trucks, they even that all out. So you got to know where you bought everything and where you burned it. And then you figure out, well, I owed Wisconsin in my example, I owed them fuel tax. So how many gallons I would have burned there, and I owe them that. But Minnesota owes me because I bought all this in Minnesota. Anyway, it's a whole thing, but we had gone through an IFTA audit, and I got us through it because I found some errors and I fixed it, and I wrote better software for him to do it in the future. So he knew I could do it. And so I did. And it did everything that the big national provider could do, 401k calculations, garnishments, all that fun stuff. So we were off to the races, right? That's like 2004, 2005. Yeah. And then, so I'm just happily, I was the controller, CFO or whatever at that point. And we're just going along, and a trucking vendor asked me to talk to one of their customers because they were struggling with something. and they were thinking about doing what would have been a really bad idea. All right, yeah, I'll tell you got to give somebody a solid, right? So I met with them. They told me what they wanted to do. I told them it was a really bad idea. And I asked them, do you pay per diem? Because per diem is a magic bullet for trucking. You can get, well, now it's $80. At the time, it was much less. An allowance for meals and incidentals while you're on the road. And I showed him how if he did it, he could save, at the time it was probably $1,200 a driver a year. And he had 40 drivers. I'm like, that's almost 50 grand. So this guy I talked to, his name was Jim. I won't give up his company name. I mean, just because I don't want to embarrass him, but he's a really smart guy. He is not what you would think of as the stereotypical trucking company owner. He's not that. He's a bright guy, and he didn't know about it. So it got me thinking, if this Jim didn't know about it, there's got to be a lot of other really smart people that don't know about this. And so, we got to do something with this. And as it turned out, the owner had retired from the trucking company I worked at. And the new president and I didn't really see eye to eye. As an example, we took a Myers-Briggs test. I love this story. We took a Myers-Briggs test, right? We all did. She wanted us to do it. It was a good idea. I support the idea. And my thing said right in the narrative, it said, you like to question people's ideas to make sure they thought them through.
Absolutely.
Right? And I'm like, yeah, that's me. Absolutely. I'm not even guilty because I don't think it's a crime.
A rude thing or I'm trying to be malicious thing. Is just like,
absolutely.
Right. Hers said, I don't like when people question my ideas because it makes me think that they don't think I'm very smart. So she's the president of the company and I know. Wow. Well, who's going to win that? It's going to be her every single time. So she deserves to have people she wants. And whatever. It's water long ago. So I knew it was coming. And so I got this ready to go. And that was 2010. I was full-time into it. And 15 years later, here we are talking on podcasts.
So Michael, let me ask you, you mentioned per diem in there, right? I haven't personally worked in trucking payroll. I have a few colleagues and friends that have. Trucking payroll is full of moving per diem. That's his classification issues, garnishments. In your opinion, what area do most carriers struggle with the most and why?
Okay, there's two. There's the per diem thing we talked about. There's a lot of things they struggle with, but I'm not trying to be mean about it. I'm just saying there's a lot of them that come to mind. The first thing is making sure they're doing it right, but that's a thing that's teachable and we get it when we're good. The second thing is there's a trust gap between the trucking company and the drivers. It has been there forever. If you want to test this idea, go to any truck stop, the nearest truck stop to you, go in, buy any truck driver a cup of coffee and say, tell me about a time a trucking company screwed you over. And then buckle up because you're going to be there for 45 minutes. Yes. And so there's a huge trust gap. The drivers often think that the trucking company is trying to screw them. The trucking company often thinks they treat the drivers like they're replaceable. That's what you'll see all kinds of things about driver shortage. And we need to do this. We need to do that. Oh, just don't treat your drivers like I have a whole series on this about don't treat your drivers like they're replaceable and you don't have to replace them. That's really the idea of it. And so we try to do things to encourage them to build trust between the trucking company and the drivers. Because if you ask any of the trucking company owners, they'll all say, well, we're not trying to stick it to the driver. And that may be true. And I believe them. I don't think they're trying to do it.
Right.
Well, yeah, you could be doing things better and just start by showing your work. So because truck drivers don't generally, some get paid by the hour, but not very many. If you're a long haul truck driver, that you took that I'm in Grand Rapids, Michigan. You took that Grand Rapids to Phoenix, and then you took a load from Tucson back to Detroit. Okay. So you got paid for those because the amount would be so much. But then you had a little short load from Detroit to Grand Rapids. It's 150 miles. You got $75 or whatever, right? Or $100, whatever it was. Yeah. Show that to them on the pay stub, which is something that we do for them. If our clients give us the detail, we put it right on the pay stub because we want to build trust. Because if the drivers might it's just being a human to assume that your pay is going to be higher than it is. That's just being a person. So it's, just show your work. these drivers all have wounds. They all battle wounds from this. The trucking companies all have battle wounds for this. But, you just take the first step and say, look, we're not trying to stick it to you here. We're showing our work. And we also tell them, if there are clients, we encourage them, but we let them pick. We want to send out the pay stubs as soon as they're ready, way before payday. Because that way, if we miss that Detroit to Grand Rapids, because the client doesn't tell us, or we screw it up, like whatever, it doesn't matter what happened. Amazing. We can fix it. The driver still gets that money on payday as if it was right the whole time. And so it just lowers the temperature of the conversations.
Yep.
It also lowers the number of phone calls that it's often the billing person, depending on the size of the trucking company. I mean, in a 500 truck fleet, it's a payroll person, but in a 40 truck fleet, that's also the billing person. So that person has to spend their whole day on Friday answering questions. If you don't do this, did I get paid for this? Did I get paid for that? Did I get my detention? Which is if it takes too long to load or unload a truck, they get what's called detention pay. All those kinds of things. Amazing. You can just show it to them on the pay stub and they'll know and they'll start to trust you. And a lot of times too, it can be the spouse of the driver. It's like, you worked more than that. And so now, and that's where things happen. Like you just get into those layers. And if we can just show the work, we send the email out to wherever they tell us to send the email. So if you don't want to send it to your wife, we'll send it to your wife. Doesn't matter to me. So, or a family account or whatever. And so, but that's a long answer to a complicated question, but it's that trust gap. And we really work hard with our clients to help them eliminate that. And their life just gets so much better if they can do it.
Yeah.
Awesome. You said something that made me think. You said you send the pay stub way before check date. How much, what do you mean? Like, what is that time period exactly?
What does every USAA member have in common? Family. We're one big family who supports the military community and their eligible families. And if you, your parent, or spouse served, you could join our family and save big on auto insurance. Visit USAA.com/join today to check your eligibility. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
Typically, it would be we would send out the pay stub on Wednesday afternoon for a Friday payroll. Now, if we have some clients, we have one client in Pennsylvania. They get us their payroll the Friday before for the next Friday. That's all on it. Yeah, they're on it. I don't even know how they do it. They're incredible. And so, but those ones I think we send those out the Friday or before or the Monday before. Yeah, that way, again, it's 2 or 3 extra days to reconcile anything that's got to be reconciled. If something's got to be fixed, we fix it.
We went to market currently with the company that I'm with, and we're demoing different companies, and I'm happy to shout them out. Great company, great product. Paychecks actually has a product or their product that in their technology, you can actually notify, just like what you're saying, you can notify the employee. I don't know about whenever you want, but whenever the preview is ready, before you even hit the button, to see if they agree. Now, I think it could be a nightmare in some situations, but for your demographic, I think it works amazing. Based on what you just said, that is spot on and building that trust, right? Because it's different with an 18-year-old that's working in a candy store that doesn't even know their hours. They're like, no, it's wrong. Like, I just know some demographics will be like, this is wrong because, right?
Right. Yeah, I think that's just being a person. But one of the things, we have some clients who we actually send preview pay stubs to the drivers before we actually finish the payroll. We have a couple of, they are mostly contractors, legitimate contractors, which is, if you had said that list 3 things, the third one would have been 1099 versus W-2. I'm getting that wrong. But these are the ones that I know of that I'm thinking of off the top of my head. Yeah, we send them out preview stubs so that they can check their records, like make sure the advances are correct and things like that. Because they have to pay back for the fuel that got put on the company fuel card, things like that. That can be thousands of dollars. So they're doing their own bookwork on their side. And so we'll send those out often on Tuesday for Friday. And then the client gets back to us. So we need to make a couple adjustments, whether it's actual errors or if it's, we let this guy, we lent him money and we told him we'd have to pay it back this week. We let him slide for 1 week or whatever, because his check was going to be $200 and he needs to feed his family or whatever. Sure. It's all good. Like, it's their decision. It's their money. We're the vessel. But yeah, when you're talking about with paychecks, yeah, we have something that functions the same way. And it really helps. Again, it helps cut down having to redo things. It lowers the temperature. It builds the trust.
Like that.
And that's,
see,
if you can't trust
your
your
say that, so you're saying that you kind of also put independent contractors on this steady kind of payment schedule as well?
Yeah, we pay independent contractors for our clients as well. Yeah, well, they're easier, right? I don't do any tax calculations, man. That's Candyland.
Just the consistency of it. Again, it's not the employee experience, but it's a vendor relationship, a business-to-business experience building.
It's
the talent.
They're the production team, man. They're the ones. They're the ones making the widgets. So yeah, you got to keep them. And again, if you look for the people that are watching this that have any familiarity with trucking, you're going to know that companies talk about driver turnover all the time. On average, it's between 90 and 100%, which means if you have 100 trucks, on average, you're hiring 90 drivers a year. But it doesn't mean that every driver only lasts a year and change. It means that you might have one truck that you turned over 6 times, and then one truck you have somebody that stayed for 15, 20 years. But we have clients whose turnover is really low, and that's because people who understand their drivers aren't just replaceable people. They're not substitutable easily. And so they just don't turn them over.
I want to set Walt up for this next question about per diem. And just for the listeners and the payroll folks that don't know, per diem is a combination of mileage and meal, like you had mentioned, right? That the government regulates the per diem rate. You can look up, right? And it's like
meals
and incidentals, and it's by
meals
and
incidentals,
if I'm not mistaken, right? No. Oh, what is it?
Not by the mile. Per diem is per day. It's Latin for per day. But the trucking industry has special rules. There's even in the IRS revenue procedures, you'll see special rules for the transportation industry. Yep. And so they get, instead of, for the non-trucking people, for the other 99%, right? The per diem will be based on what city you're in. San Francisco is a different per diem than Canton, Ohio. But for trucking, because they're moving around, they just get a flat $80 a day.
Great info. Thank you there. So Brian, thank you for setting me up. And I have a question for you, Michael. In a recent post, you talked about big savings, right? I think there was a post you posted about a week ago or so with per diem, and that it starts this week. Can you break down how dispatchers or truckers can take advantage of that right away?
Besides call me?
Absolutely.
You got to take one shot, right? What are you going to do? And what happens is if you pay per diem right, and you pay it as a substitute for wage. So if a driver made $250 in the day, instead of paying him $250 in wage, you pay him $170 in wage and $80 in per diem, right? That's the simplified math. That $80, they're not going to pay payroll tax on it. The company's not. And they're not going to pay work comp insurance on it. And work comp for a truck driver is not cheap. It's not like office people. So that's where this thing, but when I'm talking about savings this week, I'm talking about those payroll taxes, because your payroll service, whether it's us or ADP or QuickBooks or Gusto or Paychecks or anybody else, right, collect that tax from you. And so if you have one driver with 5 days on the road, which is pretty typical, that's $400 you're not paying payroll tax on. So $400, right? 5 times 80. $400 times, and I only do on my calculations, I only use the FICA. I don't get it on unemployment because for most states you're going to max out anyway. Right. So like in Michigan, it's $9,000 or $9,500 depending on your situation. So I don't count that in the math, just the FICA. But 7.65% of $400 is a little over $30. $31.20, I want to say, but that's off the back of my head, so that could be wrong. Plus you've got work comp savings. Now you have to give a little of it back because per diem is only 80% deductible on your income tax. So the math gets a little trickier there, but even at the highest, it's 21%, the highest corporate tax rate. And you pay tax on the last 20%. And so you figure all that out. You're still going to be up. You'll still be up $45 a week per driver.
Per diem is only 80% write off to the employer, to the business. Got it.
To the employer, yes, it's because again, for income tax, meals, like if I go out for dinner, take a client out for dinner, I only can deduct half of it. when I do my taxes, right? For a trucking person, because they're subject to hours of service laws, which are truck drivers, and there are multiple meals at incidental markets, which are the 2 requirements.
Okay. Wow.
They can deduct 80%. So then so basically then it's that $80 per week is not deductible. So your tax on that at 21% is around $16. So I add that back in the calculation, which is why you're only saving about $45 per driver per week in real money. So it's really easy math now, right? Like you're close to $2,500 a year, depends on your work comp rate. And then, so even make it $2,000 a year. Yeah. And you've got 10 trucks, which isn't a big fleet. It's $20,000 a year.
That's a lot of money.
20 large, man. That's the winner right there. That's the best day you're going to have. And the better part the other good part of it is the driver's side. They're not paying tax on that $80 a day. So if a driver made $1,250, if they were just simple rate times miles, right? 2,500 miles, 50 cents a mile, which is a standardish rate. Depends on what you're doing. Of course, it varies. So anybody who's watching this as a trucking person, don't worry about the rate I gave. But I'm just saying, you're hauling double drops and you're doing this and that, right? It's a whole different thing. But so at $1,250 a week, you're going to pay a certain amount of tax. But if you had only $850 a week in wage and you paid the tax on that, and then you got the $400 back at the end as reimbursement. In Michigan, I did this for somebody last week. In Michigan, the driver's going to get $90.90 more in their check. 4,500 plus a year, 4,681 or something a year. Biggest raise they're ever going to get. It is astounding to me that there are people that still don't pay per diem. And that's been my crusade. This is going to be my crusade all summer. I'm just going to be talking about per diem every chance I get, which is why I'm so excited that you guys reached out to me. And why I'm probably redlining your meters about the volume, because I get so excited about it. Because these guys who run small trucking companies, their tail off and they don't sleep. And it's so hard. Having a 3-truck trucking company is exhausting, because you're probably driving one of the trucks and you're dispatching the other 2. And if one of them breaks down, you got to deal with it. Or one of the drivers quits. Now you've got a truck payment, which is significant. And it's hard. And they're not making a ton of money. The rates have been garbage for 3 years. So we're hoping it's going to get better. But man, those guys are heroes. And so I got to meet a lot of them at the Texas Trucking Show last weekend. And it was fantastic talking to them. I was just trying to lift them up. I'm like, guys, you're doing great. You're still here. You're doing great. But again, that's hard. But even for a 3-truck company, if I can put $6,000 in their pocket in a year, right? Yeah, man, I love that stuff. That brings me joy. It's more than what I'm going to charge them to do their payroll. Even at 3 trucks, significantly more, probably more than twice as much is what I would charge them to do their payroll. So we have calculators on our website at truckingpayroll.com. You can figure out exactly how much you'll save with per diem. You put in your work comp rate, you put in your number of trucks, how often they're out, stuff like that. Not a whole lot of questions, but it tells them exactly how much they're going to save. It even accounts for the increased income tax. We have another one that includes our price in it, so they can see how much they'll save after getting their payroll for free, basically, right? So we try to make this as obvious as we can, but per diem is the magic bullet, and you got to do it right. That's kind of the key. I had a client get bought out and then left us for one of the big companies because the parent company had them. And the parent company deducted the per diem, but didn't pay it back as expense. So everybody's paychecks were really short. Wow. They came back to me. They're still with me many years later. It's like they have 8 different, 9 different, 10 different companies, whatever it is. And the rest of them, I'll use the big payroll provider in this one because we're a square peg for a square hole. They got permission to use us. And so we love it.
I love it.
Yeah.
So next one is, it says, let's see, garnishments, IRS Form 945, and misclassification. These things keep the trucking companies up at night. Which of these is most common, and how do you help carriers navigate them?
Awesome question. By far, the clear answer is employee misclassification. Yep. Not even close. The 945s, they don't even look at it. They just send it to us and we take care of it.
Right.
So that's what they hire us for. Like that's right. Yeah. And then the garnishments, again, they send it to, they literally take it, they scan it to us and we enter it and everything. They don't touch it. And then we bail out the checks and figure out all the money and all that. But Employee misclassification is a big deal in trucking.
By the way.
There are a lot of in construction and trucking are by far the two biggest industries where this is an issue. We have actually, again, on our website in those tools, we have one for should I pay 1099 or W-2. And I invite, it's absolutely free. Anybody should go take it. Truckingpayroll.com. And then it's under resources, and I think business success tools, I think is what we call it. Yeah, that's funny you mentioned that, because that was my sign. Like in 2008 or 2009, I'm like, all right, I got to do this. Nobody took trucking payroll.
Heck yeah.
Right. Done and done, man. So, but yeah, that was the sign, because I really struggled with that. So it's funny you brought that up. But I mean, it's hard. There's some nuance to it. There's also truck drivers, if you're going to paint with a broad brush, truck drivers will sound very sure that they're informed about things. Often they are not. They're often misinformed, which is unfortunate, because these men and women they're just trying to make a living, man. They're not trying to get over on anybody, but they have a general mistrust for the government. They're kind of the last cowboys is the way we look at it. Yep. They're just going out on their own, bringing their herd of 40,000 pounds of your supplies across country. And so medicine, food, all that kind of stuff. And so they have a general mistrust of, they think, they get told sometimes that they could form an LLC and that means they're 1099. Well, we know that LLC is just like, it's like air conditioning in the car. What kind of car do you have? Air conditioning. No, it's Chevy, you have a Ford, you have a Toyota, you have whatever. And so it doesn't work that way. And so we have a bunch of articles, and we've seen it happen where the driver insists on being 1099 or they won't work there. And so the owner capitulates and says, okay, I'll make you 1099.
Brace the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started today at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Yep. And then at the end of the year, the driver owes 15, 20 grand because they owe self-employment, right, on all that. And this even gets past all the other parts that it's actually not allowed. And the driver goes, look, I owe 15 grand on my taxes because you didn't pay anything. No. You got to write me a check or I'm going to call the IRS and say I should have been an employee. Right? Yeah, that's a bad deal. And so all the risk is on the employer. All the reward goes to the driver. And that's even in the situation. What if you let them go? They're going to get real wise about unemployment if you have to let them go. So they're like, oh no, I was an employee. Well, and the employer will say things like, well, he signed a document saying it was a contract that says specifically he's a vendor. And then the judge will be fantastic. Doesn't mean anything. So it's hard too, because trucking is is viewed as a commodity in a lot of places. So they're always shopping rates. So everything is about race to the bottom. And unfortunately, so if you find out that a lot of people in your city might be paying drivers 1099 that shouldn't, you almost feel like you have to try and compete. And so my advice, I had a client call me about this. Their nearest competitor was trying to poach their drivers and pay them 1099. I said, call the state on them. This is not one of those, don't tell the teacher that the kid misbehaved kind of things, victimless crime, whatever nonsense. No, that's garbage. We all got to play by the same rules here. I said, you absolutely call the state and you absolutely rat on them. Or if you don't want to, give me the company's name and I'll do it. Like, well, I'm going to get a reward.
Oh, wow.
They were paying rewards 10 years ago. During the Obama administration, the states would get rewards for properly classifying employees. And so, right. So, but no, that's misclassification is a big deal. I always try if I have a client who's paying drivers, and I can look at what they're paying them for, and I know if it's legit or not. And if they're not legit, I let them know, hey, look, this is against my advice that you're doing this. But I can't stop them. But I want you to know, look, this isn't really what you need to be doing. This could blow up in your face any number of ways besides it being illegal. Just here's how you're going to get caught. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a huge deal in trucking, and it comes and goes depending on the state government that you have at the time. If they're more worker friendly or more business or employer friendly, however you want to say it, right? I'm not trying to take a side in it. I'm just saying. But yeah, it does come and go.
Does it follow
for
the
sure.
same FLSA testing for employee versus independent contractor?
You talking about like the 20-point test?
Yeah, well, there's
Are you talking about the ABC or
FLSA? Oh, okay.
That's the problem. Well, and trucking gets an FLSA exemption for overtime already. Yeah, they don't. Anybody, I want to say exemption 20, but it could be 18. I don't remember. But I remember reading it. It was that if you're involved in driving the truck or loading the truck or maintaining the truck,
Yep.
and the truck is involved in interstate commerce, then you're exempt. And so your driver can never even leave, like say I'm in Michigan again. If they just ran to Detroit and back for their whole lives, you'd think, well, they might be able to get overtime. But if that load came from California because it was produce, well, they were involved in interstate commerce. So they don't get overtime. Yeah, a lot of them don't pay by the hour, but like it's the mechanics are really where the issue comes up. And so I'll have clients ask me, hey, do I have to pay them overtime? And I always tell them, you don't have to if they're an interstate commerce company. I said, but I would be very careful about getting rid of that because the mechanics can choose to work somewhere else.
Well, great information, Michael. Thank you. Yeah. So in terms of technology and automation, been impacting payroll for trucking, and where should carriers invest first?
Wow, that's a great question. The technology has really improved. They have some technology forced on them. Electronic logging devices got forced on them against their, they used to be paper logs where they used to cheat all the time. They would have 2 log books, but that's gone away. So, but the biggest, like if I were a small trucking company, say 3 trucks, right? My investment would be to get into a TMS, a transportation management system, or transportation management software, whatever the S wants to be. You can get them all subscription based now. Back when I got into trucking, it required you to get a server and they would bring it all in and it was a big install. And it was a huge purchase. Now you can go and get it on a monthly subscription for $100 a month or something. It'd probably less depending on the features you want. We work a lot with a company called Ascend. They're out of Florida and they make one. And they even put a button in there is where it sends the payroll information to us. So you don't have to worry about finishing your payroll. Cool. Yeah, it just drops it right to us. And that's the innovation part on our side is that, and then we got an import already built. I mean, as a technology thing, it's not terribly elegant, but it's certainly effective and it's perfect. It works and does exactly what we want it to do. And so, but yeah, having a TMS is so important for a trucking company because they need to be able to know quickly what they got for a similar load or who they got a similar load from. If I'm in Grand Rapids, I send a truck down to Houston and I need to get them home and I got to use what's called brokers, which is common for small trucking companies. That's how they get all their loads. And so, but you want to know, okay, last time I was in Houston, who did I get a load from and how much did I get paid? And if I thought that was acceptable, I'm going to call that broker. Hey, I got a truck in Houston looking to come back to Grand Rapids on Wednesday. You got a load for me. Things like that. So just that, and it helps them keep track too, because these guys work their tail off, but they are not great bookkeepers. They're not great trackers of things like that. They're intuitive and their intuition is usually good, but it's not perfect. And so this is like data that they can rely on.
Yeah, they're the talent. They don't have to do everything.
Yeah, they're often driving a truck, but you can literally do it on your phone. All right. Which is amazing.
So what's, we're talking about the kind of the pitfalls to avoid. What's one of the mistakes that new fleets make in payroll setup, especially that could cost them down the road?
One of the things is sometimes they don't know how much to pay the driver. So because if you ask 20 people how much to pay a driver, you're going to get 20 answers.
Yep.
And then and two of them might be the same.
Right because of where they are.
You just never know. And
no,
it's right. And so that's one thing. They either pay too little or pay too much, and usually they figure it out. But sometimes they get worked by their drivers. Another thing that where they can get themselves in trouble is not setting up the new hire paperwork correctly. Stuff like that. We try to help them a little bit. We'll answer HR questions for them. Of course, they can. Any trucking company can call me with an HR question. I'm going to try and answer it. But we want to help them. Look, these are the documents you need. And they already have They already have what are called driver files for the DOT. So, but we need employee files too. Well, they need them. I don't need them. they need employee files. And so, and I like help them get the right get an actual direct deposit filled out, make them sign it, things like that, before they even start working.
Kind of normal.
It's part of orientation. Yeah. Right. Get the W-4s, get I-9, get all that stuff done right off the get-go. And so they struggle with that kind of stuff too. A lot of them too, especially the smaller fleets, have a hard time with what I would call boundaries, meaning they're not clear in their expectations to the driver. Okay, driver, this is okay, this is not. Because the driver has some latitude in what they do. If I pick up a load today and I'm driving out to LA and it's going to take 4 days, maybe I should leave right now because I just got loaded. Or maybe I'll leave in the morning. I'll just hope there won't be any traffic going through Chicago or right on down. And sometimes there's not, and sometimes there is. And I hope there's no construction going through Iowa or whatever. I hope there's no surprise snow in the Rockies. That only happens like 10 months of the year. So, right. So then they close down our pass and all that. And, that kind of stuff. And so, but setting boundaries and being crystal clear about expectations. About this is what I expect from you. I expect that you're going to leave when you're supposed to leave. I expect you to not be running your load like everything has to go perfectly for you to deliver, because then you're going to be late a lot. I expect you to show up in clothes that I won't be embarrassed by because you're our face when you're on the dock. I expect you to be a human being, as in I expect you to be civil with everyone you talk to anytime you're near my truck. Things like that. And they seem obvious, but you got to spell them out. And so even things like having an employee handbook, things
you
like
got to read it.
Have a handbook, but just, it's not hard. They do. And they should go over with people, but it's about clarity. It's about clarity of expectations. I like to call them boundaries. And I think that's a lot of why trucking companies have as high turnover as they do. They're not clear on their boundaries and they're not clear on their community, why we're here.
Just not
what's our
setting expectations. They truly are the last cowboys, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah, right. And I want to give them professional respect. I want to, it's load's ready at 9 o'clock. It's 9 p.m. out here. Load's ready at 9 p.m. That's great. But you want to leave till 11? Okay, that's fine. I trust you to get your job done, but you can't take all your slack time in the beginning. And so that kind of stuff. And so you're a professional driver, act like it. That kind of, right? That kind of stuff. And so, and a lot of people won't do it because they're like, I don't want to make the driver mad. If I make him mad, he's going to quit. And now I got a load that I got to go pick up that I don't have a driver for. It's tricky. You don't feel like you have leverage.
To me, it sounds like, wait, so level set those expectations before the first load is even picked up, right? Mm-hmm. Like, get great.
That's what that's in the interview. Yep. And that's what we do when we hire people here is we say, these are the expectations. Mm-hmm. Like, this is exactly, this is what you're signing up for. I don't want to give you false impressions.
Yeah.
It's the only way it works. So, an example for a trucking company would be, bigger companies have this where they have recruiters, right? And if you have to have recruiters, that should kind of tell you something about how good you are keeping driving.
That's one
of the that's a whole other segue. Yeah, right. It's a whole other podcast. But the recruiters gets paid to bring people in, get butts and qualified butts and seats, right? And so, like, if I'm a driver and I say, look, I only want to go to Texas or Florida and back. I don't ever want to go to the upper east. I don't want to go to New York and Philadelphia and Boston because those streets are about this wide and they're horrible to get through. And I want to lose a whole day making one delivery on Staten Island.
Yep.
I lose a whole day, which is absolutely true. And so the recruiter goes, yeah, no problem. We're never sending you to New York. And then the third week they work there, right? You can finish the story, oh yeah, we're going to hot load. It's a really good customer. We got to have you take this load to New York. Then you wonder why you have turnover. Wow. It's a Scooby-Doo mystery, man, but may never be solved.
Man, Michael, this is great. These are great nuggets, and it's very informative. I'm sure a lot of people are going to love this episode. We have one more question for you before we get into our game that we want to play with you. Looking ahead, do you see the trucking and trucking payroll? Do you see any new challenges or innovations that are going to be on the horizon?
That's a good question. I thought you were going to ask me about autonomous trucks.
So throw that in there.
Autonomous. My prediction on autonomous trucks is this: there's going to be an accident. at some point. There are accidents with trucks and with cars every single day. There's going to be an accident with an autonomous truck. And there's going to be a fatality. And everybody's going to get scared off. We haven't built a nuclear power plant in how long? Since what, 1979, right? I think I could be wrong about this, but to my memory. But 3 Mile Island would scare us all, and we didn't build a nuclear power plant. So I think I will be long retired before autonomous trucks have any kind of significant foothold, because they got to work past all the limitations. There's some small uses for them, but I don't see that happening. But that innovation, that's one thing that's coming up. I think we're starting to see a little bit of AI creeping into trucking a little bit. Trucking people are not early adopters. I used to joke with one of my bosses at the old trucking company. If it was up to him, refrigerator freight would would be horse and buggy with ice on it. Because he was old school. He was super, like, his intuition was always on. Like, he was right about just about everything. So, but he was never one to want to do new things. So I'd tease him about that. And I think trucking's a lot of that, but we're starting to see a little bit of AI in even things like how you hire a driver. You asking better questions in the interview, making sure you've got the right fit. You can, because AI, right? I know AI is not perfect, but it doesn't care about your feelings specifically. If you don't like the answer, it's going to just say the data suggests this. And so you can continue to deny it if you want, or you can complain about ChatGPT or whatever you want. But, at some point you will want to be better. And so the companies that want to be better, they're gonna lean into it a little more, even on the easy stuff. Like I said, how much should I pay a driver? Which, by the way, we put out our article every month. We have a driver pay index. We can give you where the average has gone since January 2020, every month, up and down. So we put it out usually the first week of the month. So I'll probably put it out this week yet for June, just because it's data that we have that we can give out, because it's everybody aggregated, so you don't know whose data it's everybody. But yeah, I think you're going to see AI coming in more. It's going to come in more to the TMS systems and things like that. I know they're all trying to work with it. It's going to come into their bidding process. If you're a fleet that's big enough to be able to bid direct freight, you're bidding for, what should I bid for this lane? And so it's going to be able to ChatGPT is incredible for aggregating a lot of data in a quick amount of time. A very quick aside, my daughter's buying a condo. She's going to get her master's degree, and she's buying a condo in St. Louis where she's going to go. And we fed all of the condo association docs into ChatGPT. And like 10 seconds later, it said, look out for this and look out for this, but this is really good and this is really good. And I'm like, man, because it's like a couple hundred pages. Right. Yeah. And I'm not a real estate guru. I'm not going to know. I don't know how much a reserve they're supposed to be and all that. So I'm just saying, like, they can take that data and they can suggest alternatives for you. I think, but like the TMSs are doing that too. And that's, I think, where you're really going to see it, because they'll start suggesting routes for you, and they'll start telling you which routes are better for you and things like that. You've got to be willing to listen. You got to be willing to learn, and you got to be willing to accept it. And again, here, if it fights your intuition, then you just got to reconcile. Maybe AI is wrong on this one. Maybe it's right. That's a fair question. You still get to choose. We're not quite to 2001, the movie yet, right? With Hal taking over.
Michael, is
coming soon, but not yet.
Management service or so?
The Jack Welch Management Institute at Strayer University helps you go from I know the way to I've arrived with our top 10 ranked online MBA. Gain skills you can learn today and apply tomorrow. Get ready to go from make it happen to made it happen, and keep striving. Visit strayer.edu/JackWelchMBA to learn more. Strayer University is certified to operate in Virginia by Chev and has many campuses, including at 2121 15th Street North in Arlington, Virginia.
Transportation
management software. Trucking, you can call it trucking management. That's fine too. Yeah, it's where you do all your work. You plan your loads in there. You know which drivers are on which loads, and you do your invoicing in it. You'll do your driver settlement in it, where you decide how much you're paying the driver. All that data is right there. Even if the driver gets an advance, which is very common in trucking, as opposed to other industries where advances are kind of the exception. It's kind of the rule in trucking. Because it went back to the days before iPass, when you had to pay for tolls. So a driver going to California would be able to get money on his fuel card to pay for tolls and scales and stuff like that. Now they just do it. Right. They're just used to getting $200 cash before they go. So yeah, but yeah, that's It's gonna be incredible.
We have this little game that we play just to break it up a little bit and beyond. It's called This or That. You can both, either, neither. And Walt, you want to start it off and I'll finish?
All right.
Yes. So number one, do you prefer coffee or an energy drink? Okay, what's your go-to?
Energy drink. Really, it's even just like the buy drinks with just a little caffeine in them. I'm a weirdo who doesn't drink coffee.
All right. No, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, do you
I'll
prefer to be on the road or in the office? Okay. And my last one.
In the office.
For per diem paperwork or tax filings? Okay.
Oh, wow.
Oh, per diem. My baby.
All right.
Yeah.
That's
Because
right.
I get to save people money with that. That's why. Yeah.
DIY, do-it-yourself payroll or outsource solution?
I outsource, and I will admit I've got a side on this that benefits me. Right. Okay. Yeah. I got a scale on this, but the trucking companies have too many other things to do.
Yeah.
Don't screw around with this. Let us do it for you. $50 a week, $60 a week, or whatever it is for a small trucking company. Just let us take care of it for you. Spend your time getting a better load. You get a better load that pays you an extra $100 you paid for us twice
Early
over.
morning drive or an evening drive?
Yeah.
Ooh.
All right.
Evening drive.
Okay. All right.
I'm not a morning person.
Good
Maybe
for
it's the
you.
coffee thing. I don't know, but
Last one. Dodger Stadium or Fenway Park? Whoa.
yes, Dodger Stadium. I don't even hear the rest. Dodger Stadium. Can you see? I got that. That's Jackie Robinson there.
Oh, wow.
That's Kirk Gibson there. I'm going to turn my camera. That is another New Jersey. And then at Root Point at Dodger Stadium. When a Dodger fan says, I'm so little
I mean, look, we're ended off one. I'm looking forward to your podcast. Please keep in touch. If you need any help, anything.
Yeah, thank you.
Bring us on as
No,
guests.
thank
and we can
you.
chop it up about things and let us. I'm looking forward to that. But also, where can folks find you at? What is all your information? Let us know how to find about your company.
Yeah. Our website's truckingpayroll.com.
I love it.
As we said, we have a lot of free tools that you can take. Absolutely. And they're like 6 or 8 questions. I think we have 7 quizzes in there. And if you see a quiz that you think should be there, you reach out to me and I'm going to add it. Because if it's worthwhile, I think those can be so helpful. Our mission at our company is to help trucking families. So if you called whoever answered the phone, we don't have call trees. I hate call trees. So we're not doing that. But if you just said, hey, what's your mission? What's your company's mission?
Wow.
They should, without hesitating, should go to help trucking families. And that's what all this stuff, all these quizzes, all that stuff is to help trucking families. So truckingpayroll.com is the mothership. We have socials at LinkedIn. I think it's at Trucking Payroll at LinkedIn, like linkedin.com/whatever/Trucking Payroll. Or just look at my name, Michael Ritzema. We've got YouTube at Trucking Payroll. We've got TikTok at Trucking Payroll. We've got Instagram, I think, still at Trucking Payroll. Yeah, I think we do that one. I don't know. Is there a new one out? You guys are younger than me. Is there another social that came out last week? Yeah. Okay. I don't have Blue Sky yet, I guess. Maybe I got to go add that.
The ones you said. So
I think I signed up for it for me personally once, but I don't even know what my login is.
Got
So.
banned right after. I don't even know. Wrong. I have no idea. I don't
For
know
what?
these things.
Somebody probably reported him.
I'll tell you, TikTok's been a revelation for me. I am too old to really have understood it at first, but I get more interaction from truck drivers on TikTok than I get anywhere else. I had the video that you guys probably saw. I put it on TikTok, and I had like 8 different drivers comment on it, which for me is a lot. And then I had one of them, and he asked questions. He's like, no, man, this is this way, and this is this way.
Ooh.
And so I made a video and just released it today. For his name's Brad. I'm like, Brad, you had questions? I got answers, buddy. And I'm like, I am so glad. I mean, I disagree with it, what his premise was, but I was so glad that he spoke up. We're not going to get on the same page if we don't tell each other what page we're on. So, yeah. So I hope that, Brad, if you're watching this, I hope that you felt the love, because I had nothing but love for the fact that you had your opinion on that. And I just assume too that he's just out driving across country, bringing stuff that I need. So I will nothing but good things for him. But I was just so, I mean, just the interaction of it, I thought that was great. So we made a second video. We put it in I think we put a link in the comments of the first video so that he could find it. Wow. And so I'm waiting to hear what he says. Yeah, but yeah. So yeah, on the socials are Trucking Payroll,
X.
Twitter. Oh, we have Twitter, the
right.
X, whatever you call it. Just call it X now.
Right.
Yeah, we got that too, Trucking Payroll. But yeah, just find us. And I would encourage, if you're a trucking company listening to this and you have any question that gets near payroll, if you call us, our number's on our website. If you have a question, we're going to answer your question. And then we might talk to you about if you want to work with us or not. But you can hang up the phone at that point, right? If you don't want to. But I'm just saying, our mission is to help trucking families, and that's everybody. So that's nothing brings like this per diem thing. It's why I'm so excited about it.
Yep.
Is because you could change lives. And I get to be a small piece of that. The accounting people almost never get to change lives. The payroll people, right? The best we get to do is bail them out when they forget to file their 941s for 3 years. Right? We could bail them out of that. We might be able to get the taxpayer advocate involved or something to try and get them out of some penalties, which is still a win. Yeah. Man, we can put money, like the accounting department can be the hero and put money in people's pockets, in the drivers and the owners. They are both the winners, the losers of the IRS, and we're not really worried about it.
Oh, man. Thank you so much for joining us today. And please keep in touch. I will, once you start posting your episodes and we'll share on the show. Back. This is your home. Like,
absolutely. Likewise, man.
Everybody, this is the home of the greatest payroll folks in the world, and you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you so much. Anytime I can be of service to your audience, I'm here for you. I'm a phone call or
awesome.
Text away.
Michael. Thanks, folks. And please go share, subscribe, like, tell a friend to tell a friend. If you got folks in the trucking industry, please share this with them. So much that they can learn from this episode. And till the next time, we love you, folks.